this is part 2 of our At the Table episode on vision, and I am back here again with our lead pastor, Kristian. How do you discern if a vision is from God or your own dreams and aspirations?
Really, really difficult question that you've asked me. So thanks for that, Helen. All joking aside, it can be quite difficult at times. It's not impossible. The only reason I'm saying it's difficult because some things you put in your heart and you want to do, but the simple answer to that is, and I purposely, because I thought we'd go there. So let me just read a few verses, if I may, that maybe just be able to help us. And it's from the Bible, and it's in the Old Testament, and it's in the book of wisdom, which is Proverbs. And it says in Proverbs 16, verse 2, and this is how I'm going to answer this question. All a person's ways seem pure to them, but motives are weighed by the Lord.
Yeah.
So sometimes I've had a vision of, again, I'm going to use the example of material things. And please, I'm not against people enjoying material things. You know me.
Yeah.
There's nobody who celebrates more when somebody's got a new car or something wonderful has happened materially to people. I love it. But if I have a motive that I want to buy a really expensive sports car because I want to show off to everybody on my street how good and how great I am, and I've got a vision for it, I'm going to work like stink for it. Let's just read again. Motives are weighed by the Lord. Now I'm using an extreme. So for me, some visions that I've had, when I've really looked at it, I've thought, my motives are not pure.
Yeah.
So it's possibly not from God.
Yeah.
Or it could be that God's doing something in me, but it needs to be redeemed.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
When I know that where it's from God is usually it's something that I've not thought about.
Yeah.
I've not thought about being involved in. And there is a purity to my heart.
Yeah.
So I genuinely thought there was something of God's hand on me as a young man, but I was really wanting to just get on in business.
Yeah.
So for this to happen, this is truly God.
Yeah.
This is truly God. Let me give you another verse around this as well, found in Proverbs 16. Let me give you 2 verses. Verse 3. And this will help people as they just develop vision. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. So basically, sometimes we can get hung up, is this from God or is this from me?
Yeah.
And we get stuck in a place. Well, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans, which leads me into another verse in Proverbs 16, verse 9. You can see I like this Proverbs, and it's the one I quote most regular. In his heart, a man plans his course, but the Lord determines his steps.
Yeah.
So I was having a conversation with somebody recently, and they said, I need help to discern the will of God. And I could see they were getting really hung up, and the really lovely guy who wanted to really get it right. And I said, and I've got some counsel for you, I've got some help with you on this. What I believe is if your heart is pure and your motives are good, just run with it.
Yeah.
Just walk into it. Whatever he's telling you to do, just walk into it. Don't worry about, is this the will of God?
Yeah.
Just walk in it. Because in his heart, a man plans his course, but the Lord determines his steps. Yeah. So as you walk, God can take you in whichever direction he wants to. Yeah. He can open the door, it can close the door. It can open the door really wide, or it can pause you at that place for the right timing. Yeah. So when we think about vision, again, as Christian people, don't get hung up, stuck in this place of, I need to know. Yeah. Just begin to walk. Yeah. But just keep checking and filtering your heart. Yeah. Is my heart pure and my motives pure before God? Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So you're saying that, if doors keep shutting, it's probably not from God.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And also, which it goes back to why you're wanting to do this. So, church leaders, I'm going to build the biggest church in the country. That might be a really good vision that God's given you, but why you wanted to do that? Is it so you can be on the big platforms? And equally, some would say, well, I'm going to go and build a church, but doors keep shutting, it's possibly not the right doors for you. So I think all those things are helpful. And the other thing we have to say is, again, it says in the book of Proverbs, in the multitude of counselors, there's safety. Yeah. So whenever I've done a big decision, this is really important for people listening. Whenever I've made a big seasonal shift, a big change that has an impact not just on me, but also on my family. And in the context of me leading the church, on the church, I haven't just said, this is what we're doing. Yeah. I've sought wisdom and counsel from others, godly people who will tell me the truth, because there's safety in that.
Yeah, that's good. How do you know if you're continuing to walk in the vision of God later down the line?
Well, if God's in it, there should be a sense of fulfillment. There should be a sense of blessing. It doesn't mean that everything's going to go right.
Right.
So an indication of you're in the will of God and the vision of God is that everything's hunky-dory and angels are river dancing on your duvets and the birds are tweeting and the sun's shining. Let me tell you, that isn't how it works. Vision, there is a price to vision. There is a cost to vision. There's a hard work to vision. What is vision dressed up as? It's dressed up as hard work. But what I will say is, over the course of you working out that vision, there will be moments, there will be signposts of God's blessing, of God's favor, of you feeling fulfilled, of you feeling content. By the way, all those things are good. God wants us to live contented lives. He wants us to live blessed lives. And there'll be a sense of, just favor on our lives. I think if we don't experience that over a season, I would begin to ask some questions. Am I in the right place? Am I the right person in the right place? Because that's the other thing. You can get a sense of vision, but have we got the right people involved in it, working this through? Yeah,
and I suppose we have to keep checking our motives again as well, don't we? Because our motives can change.
They can.
So I guess we have to keep checking.
And the more blessing that comes, the more you have to handle that and redeem it. I love. There's not a month that doesn't go by that I have to come again, just redeem some things in my own heart, make sure I'm operating purely. Because things can get entangled quite easily. And you've just got to make sure we weed those things out.
Yeah, great. How do you develop a vision that is rooted in reality, but also faith-filled?
Again, I think experience over the years, interesting, and he wouldn't mind me saying it, your husband, Josh, who carries a visionary aspect to him, he always makes me smile. I go back to when Josh was leading at that point, very early on in his church leadership journey. I think you know what I'm about to say. And he was leading something called TMP, the meeting place. And it was for students, young adults. And I remember him presenting this vision. At that point, we probably had 20, 25 people who were part of that team. And you were going to plant into Derby. And he said, my vision is in this year, we're going to reach, I'm not exact, 1,000. It was just huge. And I remember sitting with him then in my little office and not wanting to dampen his enthusiasm, because at that point he was a guy in his 20s. He's still full of vision. He's still full of enthusiasm, which I love. I didn't want to dampen him, but I wanted him to get rooted in reality. Because what he didn't know was what it would mean to get from 25 to 1,000. Now he understands. So there's part of it. I think you have to have a reality check without diminishing what God can do. Because that's the tension you have. You could look on and you say, no way, Helen Turner, no way God could use, no way God could use Kristian. And actually they don't know what God can do.
Yeah, definitely.
They don't know what God can do. However, the other side to that is, I think we have to walk in with a bit more of a reality check of what it will mean, particularly when it comes to growth advancement, multiplication, because there are steps and seasons that happen.
Yeah.
You know, we all want the suddenlies of God,
Yeah.
but do we really?
Yeah.
Because the suddenlies of God bring enormous challenge, stretch, pain, sacrifice. So we have to have a reality check as we look on without, and I love that the last part of the question is, without it being faith-filled, we must go with faith. You know, there's only a few things that pleases God. Of course, our love for him pleases him, but it says without faith, it's impossible to please God.
Yeah.
God responds to faith.
Yeah.
I say about our team, we want faithful people, but we also want faith-filled people.
Yeah.
Faithfulness is important, but you can be faithful without being faith-filled.
Yeah.
You can also have people who are faith-filled without truly being faithful.
Yeah.
We need both, but we need faith-filled people who see things of what they could be.
Yeah.
Change that can come to our communities, change that can come to families, change that can come to churches. And in faith, we begin to move forward with a vision.
Yeah. And I suppose part of the reality thing as well is, are we willing to put the work in that we need to get to? Because I could say that I wanted to be a brain surgeon, but am I willing to put all those hours in learning how to do it? No.
I could see you being a brain surgeon, actually.
I don't think so.
But no, it's a great point, and that is part of it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not exaggerating. I have probably had hundreds of people over the time that I've been leading church and been involved in business and been involved in things who've said they've got a vision.
Yeah.
That's why I say to them, don't tell me a vision.
Yeah.
Tell me a plan.
Yeah.
Because the plan then means hard work.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do something to get us from A to B, and then from B to C. And that's where the challenge becomes, you're right, it's dressed up as hard work. Yeah.
So lastly, how do you align your personal vision and the collective church vision together? Does one sit over the other one?
There are some differences, there's no doubt, but I don't live, and again, you would know this about me working closely and seeing me over the years, I try not to live compartmentalized.
Yeah.
So for me, it's all the Lord. He's the center of my life.
Yeah.
I want him to be. I'm wanting him to be Lord of all. So not just Lord of the church, but Lord of my family. So when he's Lord of everything and you don't compartmentalize, I think what happens is there's a sense of vision that begins to arise. Again, I'm going to use that word, there's a fulfillment in what you're doing. So are there some things that I'm presently doing and involved in that I possibly need to just begin to transition out of? Absolutely, that's the seasons.
Yeah.
But in terms of my life and what I do for God, vocationally, my life with my family, with church, my marriage with Caroline and the church, there's no separation.
No.
Really.
Yeah.
There's no separation. I'm not saying that I'm this workaholic, because I'm not.
No.
But there's no separation. It's all the Lord's.
Yeah.
And I know, I was going to say I trust, but I know that actually what I believe personally, because we do have some personal stuff that we believe in God for, it's not at odds with what I'm doing in the church or for the kingdom. Yeah. And likewise, what we're doing in the church is not at odds what we're doing in our personal life. That's probably the best way I can explain it. Yeah. They're not butting heads. No. They're flowing together. Yeah. But I think that comes back to just that Jesus is Lord of all. Yeah. Yeah. Don't live compartmentalized. Yeah. That's why I don't understand some people can do some things in church, but then they're different outside of church. Yeah. Yeah. It's not right. Yeah. That's great. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got a lot of great stuff out of you. Thank you. And thanks for listening today. And please look out for our other At the Table episodes.